you don't know what's going to happen in every single moment. And there's a lot of emergency situations coming up on a daily basis. And you work through it and you walk through it. And then you get to the other side of it and you're like, okay, I feel good now. So we'd stop and we'd take inventory, take stock. Where are we at right now? How do we expand from here in this moment? And so, for us, it was just, how do we find joy with what we have to live with right now? Because that is what we're aiming for.
Hello, everybody. It's your girl, Brittny Charity, and today is such a great day because I have the pleasure of being in the studio with who other but Dawn and Nash from Dawn Loves Nash. Yay! Yay! Hi, guys.
We feel the same way about you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here and sitting on our porch.
It's been so much fun.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, the good vibes, good vibes.
I'm glad. Well, thank you for choosing to do this interview with me. I'm excited to dive on in with you. So tell me a little bit about who you are, how long you've been together making music, and how your love story and musical journey got started.
Well, we've been together for 16 years. And we met at a songwriting gathering in Nashville, Tennessee. It was my friend's house, and everybody got together to do a songwriting thing. We all got together to do a songwriting thing. And it was funny because I was in my car that day, and I was thinking to myself, I'd really love to have my partner that I'm going to do this thing with in my life. And I want that person to show up in my life. No time frame or anything. Just, just don't send me anything else unless it's that. And I was on my way over to my friend's house for the songwriting thing. And I walk in the house and they introduce me to Nash. And then inside my head, I say, I didn't mean today. Yeah, I didn't mean today. So then I kept that thought to myself because, oh gosh, I must be crazy. So we end up writing together that day and having a great time writing. And then he ends up asking me to write with him 3 times a week. Oh, wow. So we're writing 3 times a week, never hits on me, never shows any interest, but I'm still sitting on that thought and that feeling that this is my person, right? Yeah. So 4 months go by and we all go out and we have drinks with some friends and we're doing getting to know each other, a bunch of songwriters. Yeah. We've been working really hard. And we're at the end of the table, and it's towards the end of the night. He asked my girlfriend to dance. My girlfriend says, no, her. And he goes, her? And I'm like, me? And so then we go out and dance, and I'm thinking, oh, Lord, if he can dance the way I feel it, oh, what are we going to do then? And so we danced, and I felt it. And then he says, well, can I take you dancing again? And I said, no. And he goes, what? And I said, no. And he goes, really? And I go, well, you'd have to kiss me. And he goes, you want me to kiss you? I was like, yeah. So he leans in and gives me a little peck. And I'm like, oh, God. I felt that everywhere. And then he goes, so are we going dancing? No, we're not going dancing. And he goes, well, what do I got to do? And I said, you're going to have to kiss me again because I need to confirm what I just felt. So he kissed me again, and that was it. I was like, okay, fine. This is the guy. We're going to let this play out. And that was 16 years ago.
I want to hear Nash's perspective. I want to also hear
when I
the
met
other
Dawn,
side.
she said, I love your songs. I love what you're doing. She says, have you thought of this point of view, as in the feminine? She's like, I love what you do, but have you thought of this way? And that's precisely what the songs needed. It needed that point of view, and we came together, and I have not really written songs with anyone else since.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been
So
great.
that's beautiful, guys. And I know that in addition to music, you've been up to a whole lot of other things as well, like your traveling caregiver's journey. and kind of send us on the journey of how that started while you were making music and how that mission is tied into your musical mission as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we got married in 2010, and we didn't come out as a duo until about 2012. And during that little interim there of 2010 and 12, we were still writing songs together, but we weren't really performing them. We were just writing these songs. And at that same time, I had kind of fallen ill. I was actually, right when we got married, the week we got married, I fell ill and was in a bed for 30 days. He had to carry me everywhere. He had to take me to the bathroom. He had to take me to the clinic. He had to take me everywhere. We had to learn how to become caregivers. I had to learn how to become a caregiver of myself. He learned how to become a caregiver of me. And literally for 30 days, I had to nurse myself back to health with his help, and was finally able to get back up and stand up through a period I thought was the end of me. I thought that I was done. I was like, this is it. For some reason, I'm not able to lift my own body anymore. And it was a very scary period of time. And so when I finally was able to stand up again, I was like, oh my gosh, I want no one ever to feel this way. And so I kind of dived into working at a holistic shop with a holistic woman who'd been doing it for 22 years. And she taught me everything she knew. And we would work with people. They would come in and we would do intakes with them and try to like figure out how to help get them energy and how to help them identify things that might be problematic or might be stressing their bodies out. And so that evolved. And then as that evolved, we were also evolving as a duo. And in 2012, we were challenged to do the Ice Bucket Challenge. And both of us were like, what's this Ice Bucket Challenge?
The Ice Bucket Challenge was it just took everything by storm.
Right?
I remember that time. Everybody was doing them online.
Dumping ice on your head.
It was shining a light on Lou Gehrig's disease for the first time, which was rapidly becoming a real issue in
Lou
in our
Gehrig's
world.
disease.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
like every 90 minutes, a person is diagnosed with ALS.
Wow.
And so, I mean, it's a very serious disease. There's a
For
lot of
90
people that aren't
minutes.
touched by it, but there's a lot of people that are.
Mm-hmm.
And, so we did the challenge, and we were also at that time starting to be out live performing. And so while we were out live performing, we met this couple. They came and saw us at our gig,
Mm-hmm.
and we became friends then. But then we lost touch, and
Yeah.
a few years go by, and flash forward to 2015, we're now seeing this person for the first time again, but now she's in a hospital with ALS.
Wow.
Right. And
And you just-
she's lost
she's lost a lot of
at
weight.
least 100 pounds.
We didn't recognize her.
Because at this point, she's on her way out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So when we walked into the hospital and recognized who they were in the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
after this crazy synchronicity journey of bringing us all back together,
Right.
it was just like I got a call in my heart that said, you need to help. Something inside me said, we need to help. So I said to them, you guys are going to need help, and we're available. We
Mhm.
can work something out to help you.
Mm.
And meanwhile, we were still doing music. We were still doing that, but we wanted to help her.
Yeah.
And the doctors had given her a week to 6 months to live.
Mhm.
We ended up working together for 7 years.
Oh, wow.
And she lived for 7 total more years. And and we became her live-in caregivers for 4.5 of those years.
Mm.
And meanwhile, still doing music. And
Mhm.
a lot of our caregiving journey now has been like put into our music. So a lot of our music was stuff, how we were working through all of these things that we had to move through. I'd never been a caregiver like this before. I had never had to take care of trauma like this or emergencies like this or,
Right.
and so like identifying that part of me to how I can help this individual who's in a state that she's lost everything. She can't even scratch her own itches. She can't vocalize what she needs.
Right.
She needs somebody to interpret her energy, her language, how she's behaving now and what she needs. And so that ended up being me. I had learned how to work with her.
Yeah.
And through that, it evolved into our music.
Yeah. And tell me how that changed you both as musicians and how it influenced your music.
Well, I mean, it just gave us a different perspective on life. I mean, first of all, to be able to walk and talk and do things for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
that's a miracle.
Yeah, it is. It's something that we take for granted all the time.
It is.
If
It's
you've
a
had
miracle.
any kind of serious illness or even just a really bad cold where you're out for 3 days, you want, we say, I want to die. It's an expression, but you're useless, and it's not a good feeling, right? And for someone who was doing so much in life, it was a slap to the face.
It was huge. It was the rugs were pulled right out from underneath her, but
And you were the observer of this.
and we were the observer.
Well, yeah, and as the artist, the one who can, I always felt that my job in this world was to convey what I was seeing, just to get people to. It's like, hey, the house is on fire. Hey, the house is on fire. You're putting an image in front of people that makes them react to something that they feel is important. And when you see someone like that who can't do the basics, can't scratch their nose,
Mm-hmm.
the little things.
Yeah.
So if you can't scratch your nose, you can imagine what else you can't do, right?
Yeah.
Right. So
And
and every
Gillis.
time I have to do a task that I don't feel like doing, I think of Anne, who would just jump out of
What
because
she would say is, "Do the dishes or cry."
jump to it because you
Jump to
can.
it.
Yeah.
Because you can.
Because you can.
Mhm.
The opportunity we're given.
And so putting all of that into our songs, and the other thing that Anne showed us was, man, courage, faith in the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen in every single moment. And there's a lot of emergency situations coming up on a daily basis. And you work through it and you walk through it. And then you get to the other side of it and you're like, okay, I feel good now. So we'd stop and we'd take inventory, take stock. Where are we at right now? How do we expand from here in this moment? And so, for us, it was just, how do we find joy with what we have to live with right now? Because that is what we're aiming for. And yeah, we could sit here and be miserable and sad about our situation, but that's not how we're going to live this life. I'm not writing that story. And you could give me the diagnosis of ALS or any other disorder, and you still don't have to take that as a verbatim story that's been written for you. So as songwriters, we're trying to kind of break that thought process of, hey, the story is whatever it is for you,
Yeah.
and
Whatever you want to write on that blank page.
right.
She keeps showing up to give us the signs of, yep, move forward
Keep
this
going,
way.
you're going the right way.
Nice.
Oh, it's beautiful.
That's so special.
She left, she transitioned on 222. And so literally since 222, I have 222 in my life or 22 in my life all the time. Every day there's a 22 or 222.
Yeah. Special.
So now the songs have been mainly focused around, I think, are readapting into the world where we're going back into a world where everybody is watching TV and afraid of the next boogeyman that's going to be on there, and then their reaction to simple things that happen in their lives, which seems to be so tragic to them. But after you've lived with a quadriplegic person for so many years, your emergency is not what you think, and you can't say that to someone because that's real to them. That's their
Absolute,
emergency, and
right.
you have to. I respect that. I do, because it's about each of us has got his own story with what I'm saying. It's just I'm a whiner by nature. No, I'm grateful for having been put in that situation because that really helped me out with that. Really, really did. I needed
So you're
that.
trying to pass on her message through your music.
What did I get out of it? Right?
Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
And throughout that time, you're writing all these songs, and these are the songs that you're working on producing and getting out into the world now.
Some of them. Some of them are stuff that we had written before too.
Mm-hmm.
But all of it has been about our journey and our process through the energy.
Yeah.
Like each little story, it's got our truth in it as far as the energetic feeling of how it made us feel.
But
Yeah.
it was a truth that we can still stick to 10 years later, which is interesting. So I guess it turned out to be true. The truth. 'Cause
The truth
I learned
turned
so
out
many.
to be true.
I learned so many truths that turn out not to be true. I mean, I've it over and over and over and over.
That sounds like your next song.
Well, the
Oh, yeah,
message
truth
is
that turned out to be
is
true.
about love and
I like that.
simplicity, and when we let go of everything, that's when everything comes back in.
Right. And, that leads me to the next chapter of this interview, which
Yeah.
is the music that you're recording here.
Mhm.
And while we were talking in the studio, you've been, filling me in that it's not so much about the music, it's about the energy that you're putting into the moment of creating that music,
Mhm.
so that the listener or whoever gets it next actually receives the energy behind it.
Mhm.
So talk to me about that, about where your music making, like how you find the right energy and what energy means to you. Can you define it for me as well?
As far as energy, energy in the songs, how they feel, like how we embody them. Because to me, the stuff that we write, I feel it so deeply now.
Yeah.
I feel it as a part of, like, it's an energy that's flowing out of us. And it's a way for us to reconnect with other people. It's a way for us to remind ourselves that we're not alone, that we're on this journey at the same time, and that somebody out there might resonate with the way I'm feeling. So now they don't feel alone too.
Right.
You know, and it's almost like mantras for us. We some of the stuff we say it over and over and over again because we're reminding ourselves.
Right.
You know, it's all self-reflection. Even if it comes out preachy, we're preaching to ourselves. You know, it's just that people, you know, you just hope people don't take it personal or that it triggers them, because
But
it's
there's
not.
nothing you
It's
can
it's
do
about
about
our experience.
How people are reacting to the song, though, you're never gonna, you know, as you know, you'll never.
People will
It's a-
react their own way.
It's really my favorite part about playing live is hearing the different. Hey, that song made me think of. And after 10 years of playing that song, you know, 200 times a year, you hear a lot of different stories about the same song, and it makes you think, like, as a songwriter, it's just like, wow, you can actually say something in a generic way that can go get everyone to their own
That
medicine. They just need to
Right.
talk about it in their own way and tap into that part of them. And we hear beautiful stories constantly. And it's, what is it? It's just opening the path to your own story. And I guess you're ready to deal with it that night. And it's beautiful when it happens.
That is
music
beautiful.
is just
It's a beautiful
medicine.
pathway. It's
Medicine.
beautiful. I love watching people dance to it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love
It's the
it.
medicine for us is
I
watching
mean,
the
when I
energy
see
pit.
couples
The
get up
energy
and
pit.
start dancing together, like, you know,
Yeah.
slow dance, it's so cute. Because I want music that I can dance to, so I want to make music that others can dance
That's
to.
why
Right.
we're here this weekend.
What would you like to see happen after this week recording Coconut Sam?
Oh, well, it's happening now.
It is happening.
Yeah.
I'm watching. What I would have hoped would happen is good music come out of a recording session, right? And everybody coming at it with their lifetime of experience so far. And so everybody opening their hearts and their minds to. That's the beauty of making music with people who've been doing it for a long time. Everybody understands that we're all going to get passionate, hopefully, because if it's the song is good enough to get passionate about, then we're going somewhere, I feel.
Yeah, that's true.
And but now if we tie our feelings to it, it's hard to detach sometimes, and we need to move along or take a new idea that's completely new. And we love new ideas, and so it's fun to come with a group of. Tim Robinson is a great musician, songwriter to start with, and so that as a basis, I think, makes a very good producer. And so we come here looking for a good energy, and that's what we found. That was just beautiful, and it's transferring onto tape. You hear me talking?
Yeah, tape. It's transferring
We're
on,
making
though.
records on tape.
What is Coconut Sam about?
Simple life.
What
Coconut Sam lives out by the water.
Mhm.
He don't know much. He don't need much. He loves his little woman,
And she loves him back.
and she loves him back, and they don't need much. Because Coconut Sam,
He figured out something.
he figured out something.
Tell us what you got.
Tell us what you got in your magic pot. I mean.
I mean,
Nice. How did the song come to you?
Oh, boy.
good question. Well, I mean, that one took a while to build, and this is something I did not expect from coming to the studio. It got a little more of a serious record to it now.
Tone.
Now it's like a real record. I don't know how to describe what I'm trying to say. It was a little more of a happy, fluffy song before we got here that we play on stage as a little more happy thing. Just now it's become a little more of a real song.
Like a real song. Yeah.
And it's nice to get a completely fresh approach on something and realize that there's other people's pictures in their minds.
Yeah.
And you combine those pictures. There's a new hologram that presents itself, and it's multi-dimensional.
I know, and it must be a trip, a song as old as this, to see it mature into something that.
Something else.
Yeah, and you have John here playing bass in the studio.
Yeah.
And John's from Atlanta, right?
John
Yeah.
Schlanger.
John Schlanger. That's right. Shout out, John. And then you have Shea Butter.
Yeah, Shea Butter.
And he's been here, and he's actually behind the camera. Shout out to Shay. I imagine that you've performed under all sorts of conditions.
Yeah.
What's kind of the wildest experience performing that you've had in your history?
Every night is completely different, and we
Yeah.
play the same show every night, but with different people and a different, not just different people on the stage and people different crowd. It's the same show. Don and I look at each other, we sing the same songs, and we have a completely different experience every night.
Yeah.
And we can have, this is what I love about my life and my wife, we
Mm.
can have just as much fun in a cafe with 5 people as we can at a festival with 5,000. We can
Mhm.
have just as much fun. And so the memorable, what's being memorable now in my life is these relationships I'm making with the fans. It's
Mhm.
becoming really interesting, and I'm
Mhm.
getting new material by listening to these great stories that I hear out in the world. I love it.
That's really beautiful.
For me, memorable. Well, I have 2 that like really. They're all great,
Yeah.
just like he said. They're all great. But there was one in Sedona where I sang to 1,500 peacemakers,
Wow.
and I had to sing in Korean.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And did you learn
they were
Korean for the
Korean.
performance?
Yes. And I was scared to death about the whole thing because I'm singing in Korean to 1,500 Koreans. One of their lullaby songs.
Oh,
like
wow.
one of their.
Right.
So I sang it, and I ended up singing it exactly the way I needed to. It was. I stepped out of the way and of myself, and myself took over. I guess we could
Nice.
say it like that.
Right.
There was a whole thing, and then just recently we sang at a festival, and that was an amazing show for me too. And it had to do because the energy that connected all of us in the room was so strong, and the current was so good, and everybody was on the same wavelength. We were all dancing. Everybody was synced in. The music, the drumming, everything
Where
just
you get
felt
to a
so
place
good.
where everybody at the end of each song keeps looking at each other's going, is it over? No. And everybody, even the crowd, we're all looking at each other. No, let's just keep, it's been 3 hours. Okay, just keep
Let's
going.
keep going.
And
'Cause
why
it
would
felt
we
so
stop? It
good.
feels so good. And wow, those nights are magic.
Yeah, and it just really,
Oh.
again, I stepped out of I'm going to say this, but it's when you step out of yourself and you let go of all the thoughts and you stop worrying about whether or not you're going to deliver a good performance, and you just have fun and
Put your
do what you
heart
can
on
do.
your-
You just put
on
your
the
heart
table.
out there and let it all come out, then it's magic. And what happened was absolute magic. And it's happened those 2 times when I've stepped out of my own way.
It's the same reason we go fire walking. We did our 6th fire walk recently, and it was 40 feet. And it's the same principle. We practice all day, and for 2 days actually this time, to get the mind out of the way. Because if I was to bring the mind to a fire walk at 1,200 degrees, I would burn my feet.
Now hold on, I
That's
just want
right.
to say,
The power
don't
of
don't
the
just go out there and think you can walk on fire.
Yeah.
Make
Oh,
sure that if you decide to do something
Disclaimer.
of this nature, that you do it with a shaman or somebody who is a master fire walker, who is trained to walk you through this process, because you do need to have a coach.
They use gasoline too. Don't go out and drink gasoline. I mean,
Oh, but what you were saying is the power of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
And
power of getting the mind out of the way.
right.
That's where she was going with.
Yeah.
What
With the
happens
music.
with a great performance where you become
Mm-hmm.
you're not in the way. You're just part of the whole thing.
You're just an
You're
open
just
channel.
gliding.
Just a channel.
You're a channel for everything
That's
to
what
move through
happens
you.
on the fire. You're gliding on the fire.
Yeah, your body knows
How
what
you
to do.
describe you're gliding on the fire. Like, what the heck you talking about? You're gliding on the fire. The mind was we were so ready. The coach was so good that we were gliding on the fire. We got to about 40 feet, and we're like, oh, I would have done 100, no problem. I'm not. It's
It did. It
because
felt
we've
like
done
we were on water.
we've done plenty of smaller fires where we weren't quite as ready, and our mind was in the way, and you feel the fire. Not this time, because the mind was not there, and so those performances on stage, sometimes when you're lucky enough that you can really get out of your own way,
Yeah.
and in the presence of the right energy, the
Yeah,
crowd, it
that's right.
happens.
That's right.
and it's hard to describe.
It's really
it.
great
It's
because
potent.
for like 3 hours you feel like
You're gliding on the fire.
and you're gliding in the energy with these people,
Yeah.
and that you're all part of something,
Effortless.
a whole, and
Effortless.
it feels good,
The
Yeah.
acceptance is
It must
there
feel
for
like the
everyone.
most alive ever.
alive and acceptance.
Yeah,
like
the-
you can feel the
The
acceptance
oneness,
amongst everyone.
The oneness.
Mhm.
We all agree that we're
Enjoying this
enjoying
moment
this
together.
frequency right here.
Right
Right.
now.
Right now we're
where
enjoying
nobody
this.
wants to go anywhere. I guess that's why I said that nobody wanted to go anywhere at the end of the show. We're like, there is no end of the show. Nobody wants it to end. It feels good.
It felt like eternity.
I,
You're like, what do you
uh,
mean? What do you mean? Something coming up next?
I remember feeling that in Nashville. We went to, it was a cover band for the Beatles, and they did Abbey Road from top to bottom, and it was absolutely perfect. And when they were done, we come out, we went to dinner after they were done, and we come out back again, and people 2 hours later in front of the stage still dancing where they were dancing 2 hours before. The music stopped 2 hours before. That's how good that vibe felt there. And we are getting to a point in our lives where we're starting to feel like that's happening in front of us, in this on. It's the most beautiful thing that I cannot believe we're living.
Well,
It's
you're
so-
manifesting it. You're actually creating it. Kind of make it happen.
Yeah, because the
Qi-
thing is,
Qigong.
yeah,
Yeah.
we want it. We
Yeah.
want to foster an energy for everyone for everyone to see that they have a caregiver inside. We're all caregivers inside. We're caregivers of ourselves first, and then we're caregivers of things outside of ourselves. And some are more caregivers than others. But if we, as a whole, can like be there for one another, and just even if you just call them and say, "Hey, I was just thinking about you," or if you know a caregiver, go give them a hug, tell them you love them.
Ask them if they need butter or milk when you go to the snow. It's so easy. Do you need the grass cut? Oh, I'm busy. Do it tomorrow. If you have excuses, think of Ann Gillis. Think of a quadriplegic person who can't scratch their own nose, and then go cut the grass. I mean it.
That's
Enough
beautiful.
of that.
With your music now and the shows that you want to play moving forward, you kind of want to direct it to people that are caregivers and those spaces and perform at those places. Tell me about that.
Oh, yeah. Bringing an opportunity of music and frequency to people that cannot necessarily get out. So, like, we used to be live-in caregivers, so we would hold events at our house so people could come hang out with us, and we would do events. We would sing, and people would come over. And now we're going to people's houses who are caregivers, and we're doing little shows for them and their friends.
Of our own music,
Of
which
our own
they're not
music.
used to.
But the music you created while you were
We're being
caregiving.
caregivers.
Yeah.
And
So-
people can really relate. It's funny you say that.
It's the next part of the journey.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the next part of the same story. Next
And we're
chapter.
happy. We want to sing to as many people as want to hear the message, because ultimately I feel like it touches everybody. We're all stewards of ourselves, and we can be stewards of this earth, and we can be stewards of each other, and we
Yeah.
can be stewards of animals and plants. I mean, there are things that we can do to help one another.
Absolutely.
To make a change. But it's something that, for us, we had to figure out, well, how do we make it easier on ourselves? So we downsized. We downsized our lives to a 10 by 10 storage unit. We put everything else in the car, in the SUV, and then we started traveling.
Takes a while to go from 3,000 square feet to 10 by 10
Yeah.
storage. It takes 2.5 years for us to, and we're still holding on to that stuff that we don't use.
And we're still letting go
still-
of that stuff.
Slowly, piece by piece.
Right.
But it is all part of the mission. It's all part of, hey, this is our lifestyle now. And we're trying to find ways that we can just go out and be better stewards for people with our music.
It's forming your music.
Yeah.
It's forming your message,
Yeah.
and it's
Right.
getting closer to more of the truth of yourselves.
Right.
And so it's really beautiful to watch and witness.
You
Thank
surround
you.
yourself with, life is a mirror, and
Yeah.
Mhm.
you end
You're a
up
beautiful reflection.
That's right.
right, we end up with our reflections, right? And that's why we're here today, right?
That's-
why we're all here today.
that is
as a
exactly why we're
group
here
and
today.
Creating,
Yeah.
creating music and art together.
That's right. You
Yeah.
guys are showing up vibrantly, happily. How do you describe your music?
the latest version of what it is it's happy soul, cosmic folk, with an island twist or with a twist of island, whichever way you would like to put your drink.
Yeah, we're really grateful for Tim Robinson giving us his time and the room and the room to grow, the room to do beautiful things together, and the patience and the hard work, and it worked out beautifully. It's a beautiful song that had a beautiful people on it and turned out beautiful.
And be on the lookout for the live video of it too.
That's right.
Yeah.
So if everybody watching here today wants to find you, listen to your music, support your mission, how can they do that?
DawnLovesNash.com.
TravelingCaregivers.org.
Yeah, you could do it that way too. DawnLovesNash.com or TravelingCaregivers.org.
There will be everything in the caption and the information below.
Thank you.
But thank you so much for coming to Joey Times Production Studio, hanging out with us crazy ones, and talking to me and sharing your story. And I hope that a lot of people get some pretty potent messages out of this conversation. It's been
thank
a pleasure.
you so much. It's
I
been
love
great
you
having
guys.
We
you.
love you. Thank you.
We love you.
Coconut side, don't know much about nothing. He don't know much. He don't know much. Yeah. Coconut side, he lives out by the water.